Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a fascinating chapter of ancient history, one that's full of power struggles, dynasties, and epic battles. Today we're talking about the rise and fall of the Attalid Dynasty, an empire that once ruled from the magnificent city of Pergamon. Picture this, it's the chaotic aftermath of Alexander the Great's death in 323 BCE. The vast empire he built is suddenly leaderless, with no clear heir in sight. His loyal commanders, instead of sticking together, decided to carve up the empire among themselves. In this turbulent time, one of these generals, Lysimachus, took control of Thrace, a small but strategically important region along the Hellespont. But Lysimachus had his eyes on more. He wanted to expand his power into Asia Minor and Macedon. He made alliances, married into the powerful Egyptian Ptolemaic dynasty, and fought fiercely in the wars of the Diadochi. But as we all know, power struggles in history are never straightforward. Lysimachus met his end at the Battle of Corpedium in 281 BCE, leaving his territories up for grabs. His land, including the prized city of Pergamon, fell into the hands of Seleucus I, a rising power in the region. But the story doesn't end here. A new dynasty was about to rise, one that would wrest control from the Seleucids and make Pergamon a dominant force along the Aegean Sea, the Attalids. Now, let's talk about Philetaerus, the man who laid the foundation for this empire. There's not much known about his early life, but he was likely of Macedonian origin, the son of Attalus and Boa from Paphlagonia. Philetaerus started his career under the Macedonian commander Eumenes I, but when tensions rose among the Greek kings, he switched sides to serve under Lysimachus. After the death of Antigonus in 301 BCE, Lysimachus rewarded Philetaerus by making him the guardian of the royal treasury in Pergamon. But here's where the plot thickens. Lysimachus, under pressure from his wife Arsinoe, executed his son Agathocles on a false charge of treason. This betrayal was too much for Philetaerus, who, along with other commanders, abandoned Lysimachus and handed Pergamon over to Seleucus I. When Lysimachus was finally defeated, Philetaerus took control of Pergamon and ruled from 282 to 263 BCE, technically under the Seleucid umbrella, but effectively as a ruler in his own right. During his reign, Philetaerus expanded Pergamon's territory and defended it against the Galatians, though rather than constant warfare, his successors often paid off their enemies to keep them at bay. Though history hints that Philetaerus might have been a eunuch, a condition that may have helped him rise to power at court, he still managed to establish a strong foundation for the Attalid dynasty. Pergamon, though located in Asia Minor, identified as a Greek city, closely aligning itself with Athens. They even adopted Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, as their protector. Under Philetaerus and his successors, Pergamon would grow into a Hellenistic cultural hub, a city of great beauty and influence. Since Philetaerus couldn't have children, he passed on the reins to his adopted nephew, Eumenes I, in 263 BCE. Eumenes wasn't content with just holding on to Pergamon. He wanted more. After defeating the Seleucid ruler Antiochus I at Sardis, Eumenes expanded Pergamon's influence across northwestern Asia Minor, taking over Mysia, Elis, and Pitene. And now come to a pivotal figure who truly solidified their legacy, Attalus I, who reigned from 241 to 197 BCE. Attalus didn't just inherit the throne. He earned his place in history as the first Attalid king to be officially recognized as such, earning the title Soter, meaning savior. Even though Attalus himself gave credit to Philetaerus as the true founder, it was Attalus who established the kingship of the Attalids and expanded their influence. When Attalus I took the throne, the Seleucids were still struggling to maintain control over their territories in Asia Minor. This weakness allowed regions like Pergamon, Bithynia, Nicomedia, and Cappadocia to assert their independence. Attalus, like his predecessors, saw an opportunity and seized it, expanding Pergamon's reach, though some of this territory was later ceded back to Seleucus II. Despite these challenges, Attalus managed to protect Pergamon from the persistent threat of the Galatians. One of Attalus I's most significant achievements was forging strong ties with the Roman Republic. This alliance proved crucial, as Attalus played a key role in drawing Rome into the First Macedonian War. Later, he was instrumental in convincing Rome to return to Greece to confront Philip V of Macedon, even as Rome was still recovering from the Second Punic War against Carthage. During the Second Macedonian War, Philip V aimed to expand his influence in Greece and the Aegean, threatening Pergamon and its allies. However, after fierce fighting, Philip was forced to make peace and give up all his conquests in Greece, Thrace, and Asia Minor. Unfortunately, Attalus I didn't live to see the full fruits of his efforts. In 197 BCE, as peace negotiations were underway, he suffered a stroke and died in Thebes. His body was returned to Pergamon, where his eldest son, Eumenes II, took up the mantle and continued his father's legacy. Eumenes II immediately found himself at war with an old enemy, Antiochus III of Syria. Antiochus III was determined to reclaim his family's lost territories in Asia Minor. When the Attalids called on Rome for help, Rome urged Antiochus to retreat to Syria. But instead of backing down, Antiochus attacked Rome's ally, Greece. This proved to be a fatal mistake. After being defeated at Thermopylae, Antiochus retreated to Asia Minor, where he faced Eumenes and the Roman forces in the decisive Battle of Magnesia in 189 BCE. In this battle, Eumenes' forces outmaneuvered Antiochus' war elephants and scythed chariots, leading to a crushing defeat for the Seleucids. The resulting Peace of Apamea was a major blow to the Seleucid Empire. Antiochus III was forced to pay massive reparations to Eumenes, making Pergamon incredibly wealthy, and he had to withdraw from Asia Minor altogether. The territory north of the Taurus Mountains was divided between Pergamon and Rhodes, further solidifying Eumenes' power. Rome continued to play a role in Eumenes' wars, intervening in his conflicts with Bithynia and Pontus. Interestingly, during the war with Bithynia, an old foe of Rome reappeared, Hannibal Barca, the legendary Carthaginian general from the Second Punic War. After being exiled from Carthage, Hannibal had sought refuge with Antiochus III, but eventually ended up in Bithynia. Although he managed to win a naval victory against Eumenes, the peace treaty that followed required Bithynia to surrender Hannibal to the Romans. Rather than face capture, the great commander chose to take his own life, reportedly using poison, in 182 BCE. And now let's dive into the golden era of Pergamon under Eumenes II, who carried on the legacy of his father, Attalus I. Eumenes II didn't just maintain Pergamon's power, he transformed it into a cultural and architectural marvel. Under his rule, Pergamon flourished like never before. He initiated an ambitious building program, which included the construction of the famous Great Altar, a monumental structure dedicated to the gods, and a massive library that rivaled even the legendary Library of Alexandria. But Eumenes wasn't just focused on building. He was also deeply involved in the political and military affairs of the region. In 175 BCE, during the War of the Brothers, he played a key role in helping Antiochus IV secure the throne of Syria after the death of his brother, Seleucus IV. This move further solidified Pergamon's influence in the region. However, Eumenes' growing power and independence began to worry Rome. Although he had been a valuable ally, Rome started to see him as a potential threat. Eumenes II tried to involve Rome in another war against Macedon, aiming to curb the ambitions of Perseus, the son of Philip V. But when he traveled to Rome in 167 to 166 BCE, the Roman Senate snubbed him, refusing to receive him under the pretense that they no longer welcomed kings. This rejection was a clear sign that Rome was becoming increasingly wary of Eumenes' ambitions. Rumors circulated that he had considered switching sides to support Perseus if the deal was right, further straining relations with Rome. To them, Eumenes had become too powerful and independent, especially after aiding Antiochus IV and waging war with Bithynia. Rome wasn't interested in sharing influence over Asia Minor with anyone. After Eumenes II's death, his brother, Attalus II Philetaerus, took over the throne, initially as co-ruler with Eumenes II at Rome's urging. Attalus II had already proven himself as a capable commander, fighting alongside Eumenes against Antiochus III and the Galatians. He had also built strong diplomatic ties with Rome, earning their favor. When Eumenes II passed away in 159 BCE, Attalus II became the sole ruler of Pergamon. He married his brother's widow, Stratonis, and adopted his nephew, the future Attalids III. Attalids II maintained a close relationship with Rome throughout his reign, recognizing their supremacy and working to keep Pergamon aligned with Roman interests. He supported Rome's allies like Nicomedes II of Bithynia and Alexander Ballas in Syria, while opposing those Rome saw as threats, like Andriscus in Macedon. At home, he continued his brother's building projects, even founding new cities like Philadelphia in Lydia and Attalia in Pamphylia. However, the glory days of Pergamon were short-lived. When Attalus II passed away, his adopted son, Attalus III, took the throne. Unfortunately, Attalus III was not cut from the same cloth as his predecessors. Known for being brutal and deeply unpopular, he showed little interest in ruling or public life. His reign marked the beginning of the end for the Attalid Dynasty. In 138 BCE, Attalus III made the fateful decision to relinquish control of Pergamon to Rome, effectively ending the dynasty. There was one last flicker of resistance when Eumenes III Aristarchus, a supposed illegitimate son of Eumenes II, tried to claim the throne, but it was too late. The Attalid Dynasty, which had ruled for barely a century and a half, came to an abrupt end, with Pergamon becoming just another province under the expanding Roman Republic. Unlike the long-lasting Ptolemaic and Seleucid dynasties, the Attalids had a brief but impactful reign. They had risen to power in the chaotic aftermath of Lysimachus' death and had managed to break free from the Seleucids to establish their own kingdom. Pergamon, though located in Asia Minor, was culturally and politically Greek, aligning itself with Athens and even adopting Athena as its patron goddess. But in the end, the relentless march of Roman expansion brought this small but vibrant dynasty to a close, as Pergamon quietly surrendered to the might of Rome under the ineffective rule of Attalus III. The story of the Attalids serves as a reminder of how quickly even the most powerful dynasties can rise and fall in the ever-changing tides of history.